All right, good afternoon. I want to just throw in for people who've watched the preview. I don't know what happened. I don't know why it didn't upload in high def. Every other video I did yesterday was high definition, and then I did a video while that one was uploading last night that I uploaded to my second channel, which did upload it in high definition. So I don't know what happened to the preview video this morning. I yeah, I have no idea. But I apologize for the fact that if you're looking on a phone, yeah, good luck. I do read every number that's on the board. So, all right, that being said, let's take a look at the career of Joe Thornton. Joe Thornton yesterday passed Gordie Howe to move into ninth place on the all-time list for assists by any hockey player. And it is quite the career he's created for himself. And there's some things that people kind of forget along the way. Now, he's drafted first overall in 97 by the Boston Bruins, and the pressure on him is pretty strong. And then his first year, he plays 55 games. He gets limited minutes, 3 goals, 4 assists, 7 points. So there's a lot of talk right out of the gate of maybe Joe came up too early. Maybe he's a flop. Maybe it's not going to work with him. These things happen. 98-99, 81 games played, 16 goals, 25 assists, 41 points. And we can see flashes of what Jumbo Joe is going to be. But almost the same amount of goals as assists. He's not quite the setup man he's going to become. And the goals are pretty solid. He's a good player. He's a smart player. And it seems like he fits in really well with what Boston's doing. 99-2000, 81 games played, 23 goals, 37 assists, 60 points. Now, the interesting thing with the Bruins during his era is that they would have a year or two here and there that they were good, but they could never quite get over that hump. They couldn't quite become contenders. And it eventually got frustrating for him. 2000-2001, he played 72 games, 37 goals, 34 assists, 71 points. He's also putting up about 100 penalty minutes a year. This is a very different Jumbo Joe than sort of the gentle Joe Thornton that he's become in later years. 2001-2002, 66 games played, 22 goals, 46 assists, 68 points. These are the kind of totals that we're used to seeing put up by him now. Not so much the 20 goals, but the 40 plus, almost 50 assists in 66 games. That's pretty decent for him. And even though this year his totals are down, they're still pretty solid considering the amount of miles this guy has put on his body. 2002-2003, 77 games played, 36 goals, 65 assists, 101 points. I loved Joe back then. I loved Samsonov as well. That's during the Byron Defoe era, and that I believe Boston was going through a lot of goalies though at that time, which was part of the problem. There's a lot of turnover. 03-04, 77 games played, 23 goals, 50 assists, 73 points. We go into the lockout, and there's problems with Joe, and we know that, and there's problems with management. And I was very critical of Mike OConnell, who was the GM at the time. In 2005, so before the season got started, he criticized Boston management and the franchise in general. Like, we don't have a direction. Things just look, it's a mess. Boston's a mess kind of thing. And I agreed with him. Remember that came out and I'm like, yeah, Remember now, I did a video on Adam Oates where Adam Oates is talking about the direction of Boston being a mess, and I agreed with him too. It was a frustrating time as a Bruins fan. So Mike OConnell trades him, and he trades him out of spite. 23 games into 05-06, he's got 9 goals, 24 assists, 33 points. He has more assists than he has games played, and they trade him. They trade him on November 30th, 2005 for Marco Sturm, Wayne Primo, and Brad Stewart. And yes, it is a long, long tradition of the Boston Bruins to trade franchise players for not enough back. And it is amazing they've ever won any Stanley Cups. When you look at it, it makes sense that a trade would happen. But why Mike OConnell didn't say, hey guys, I'm trading Joe Thornton. Send me your offers, and best offer wins, I still don't know. I remember at the time there were GMs who said we didn't know he was available. So for me, that's where Mike OConnell lost his job. Now, OConnell questioned his character and his leadership in June of 2011 after Boston won a Stanley Cup. He said he was happy to see Boston win a cup before Joe did with the San Jose Sharks. They never buried the hatchet between the two of them. But the thing with OConnell was, I couldn't stand him as a Boston GM, that's why I have that up there. He was fired March 25th, 2006. His last move was to trade away Samsonov, And so the Canucks, two young kids, Samsonov and Thornton, both gone, didn't get enough back for either of them. The Boston Bruins were absolutely in a state of disrepair. And then they bring in Peter Chiarelli, who 5 years later would see them win a Stanley Cup. Now, the argument in Boston circles has always been, well, Mike O'Connell, his draft picks were a big part of that 2011 Stanley Cup. So you can't really put this on Chiarelli. Chiarelli didn't have anything to do with it. And then people who didn't like O'Connell, like myself, would say, hey, yeah, whatever. I couldn't stand O'Connell. 2005, 2006, he's traded to the Sharks, and you can see the weight of the world comes off of him. 58 games played, 20 goals, 72 assists, 92 points in 58 games. He ends up coming out of that with the Art Ross and the Hart Trophy, and he's a first-team All-Star in 2006. 2006, 2007, in 82 games, he scores 22 goals and 92 assists for 114 points. One of the best players in the league at that stage. 2007, 2008, 82 games, 29 goals, 67 assists, 96 points. 08-09, 82 games, 25 goals, 61 assists, 86 points. But the interesting thing is that while San Jose's been pretty darn solid, and Thornton's always put up good totals, there's always been that knock on the playoffs. There's always been that knock on whether or not he can win a Stanley Cup. And while I can agree that he's going to be a Hall of Famer, he does still carry some of that with him. And at this stage of the game, while he's not a game changer for San Jose, there is always going to be those people who stand up and go, yeah, but he never won the big one. 2009, 2010, 79 games played, 20 goals, 69 assists, 89 points. 2010, 2011, 80 games played, 21 goals, 49 assists, 70 points. So we're into that about 20 goals, about 50 assists. That's about where his average is at that point. 2011, 2012, 82 games played, 18 goals, 59 assists, 77 points. 2012, 2013, a lockout shortened season. 48 games played, 7 goals, 33 assists, 40 points. Pure passing at this point. Joe Thornton's all about dishing off the puck, and he's pretty darn good at it. 2013, 2014, 82 games played, 11 goals, 65 assists for 76 points. 2014, 2015, 78 games played, 16 goals, 49 assists for 65 points. 2015, 2016, 82 games played, 19 goals, 63 assists, 82 points. Somewhere along the way, and despite the fact that he loses captaincy, and there's all this talk about Doug Wilson not being necessarily happy with Joe Thornton's leadership qualities either, he's sort of become a legend along the way. And he's become this larger-than-life figure. So while there are talks here and there about maybe San Jose's had enough, they need to redo things, and Marleau and Thornton just aren't good enough, they don't actually revamp things, and he doesn't go anywhere. 16-17, so 2016-2017, 79 games played, 7 goals, 43 assists, 50 points. That's pretty decent, considering at this point he has been playing for a very, very long time. This is season number 19 in the NHL, season 20 overall, if you include that he went over to Switzerland, played in Davos during the lockout, wiped out season in 2004-2005. And was very productive over there as well, with Rick Nash, and I believe it was Nicholas Hagman was his other line mate. 2017-2018, he plays 47 games, gets 13 goals, 23 assists for 36 points. And this season, he's played 48 games so far, 10 goals, 20 assists for 30 points. His point totals this year are pretty darn close to last year's. And while he's not scoring as much as last year, he's still scoring pretty well, and he's still putting up decent totals, considering his ice time has been cut back as he's gotten older. He's played 1,541 games. He's got 407 goals. He's got 1,050 assists, just having passed Gordie Howe's 1,049. Points total, 1,457. He's absolutely first ballot Hall of Fame. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. The question with Thornton is, what is his legacy? Is his legacy going to be one of being seen as great, or being seen as pretty darn good for a long time and playing for a very, very, very long time in the NHL? Where does his legacy end up? When you look at the list of players with more assists than he has at this point, next on the list is Steve Yzerman's 1,063. I do think that's reachable before the end of the year. He'd have to get on a bit of a hot streak and get 14 before the end of the year. And then from there, it depends on whether or not San Jose decides to bring him back next year. Adam Oates has 1,079, And then it gets tricky because the next one up is Coffey at 1,035. So that's 85 more assists to tie Coffey, 86 to pass him. It's a long time for him to still play in the league and be healthy and all of that stuff. Yager 1155, Bork 1169, Messier 1193. Francis is at 1249. We're getting to the level where nobody's passing those marks. And of course, Gretzky, nobody's ever going to touch Gretzky with his 1,963 assists. So there you go. The career of Joe Thornton and that one cloud that kind of tended to hang over him, and I don't hear it now like I did, which is, can a team led by Joe Thornton win a Stanley Cup? And then, also the question I would ask is this. So right now, San Jose's number one. Now, Calgary's got 2 games in hand, but right now, San Jose's number one in the West. If they win a cup this year, does everybody go, yep, there's that cup for Joe? Or are we still going to hear critics in the background going, yeah, but he wasn't one of the main guys, so because he's a support guy, it still shows that he can't lead a team to a Stanley Cup. Is there any way to shut the naysayers down? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, you just happen upon this video. Career of Joe Thornton, who, I might want to add, 2003, 2008, 2016, he was a second-team All-Star. 1997, he won World Junior Gold. 2004, 2016, he won gold at the World Championships. And 2010, he won the gold at the Olympics. So there you go. The resume and career of Joe Thornton. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.